Another in a streak of intentionally intimidating acts aimed at key figures and institutions. This morning, agents with the FBI arrested a county judge in Milwaukee as she was in the parking lot on her way into court. She's now out on bond. According to the charging documents, the Bureau alleges this, quote, Judge Hannah Dugan obstructed the detention of an undocumented immigrant who was wanted by federal authorities. Just last hour, lawyers for that justice released a statement that reads in part, quote, Judge Dugan will defend herself vigorously and looks forward to being exonerated. Joining our coverage, former top prosecutor at the Department of Justice, MSNBC legal analyst Andrew Weissman's here, and Washington Post Justice Department reporter Perry Stein joins us. Tim Miller is with us as well. I want to go to the reporting. I do just because this moment has now come, I have to start with you. The FBI arresting judges and the director of the FBI tweeting about it. That's how I first saw it.
So there has been a violation here that we know for sure, and it is not the judge. That's something that remains to be proved. The thing that we do know is that the FBI director has violated DOJ policy. I know I can hear Tim looking at me going, that's so quaint.
The norms.
Right, exactly. But that is, you don't do it. Remember sitting here going, James Comey, really flouted the rules because he started talking about his own personal opinions of somebody who is not being charged. This is somebody who's being charged, and you are supposed to stay mum, and instead you completely denigrated her, and you don't do that. The same thing, by the way, Pam Bondi was on Fox News talking about how we're going to go after judges. That is what they're doing. I mean, this is a much more sinister view of the president saying we need to impeach them that led to the Chief Justice having to step in. That is really the way to see this. Even if you thought that there was a ground for doing this, the judgment call that you thought that this is the case to bring, it tells you everything about what the strategy is. And that, by the way, that's a huge if. I mean, I can't imagine this case is going to hold up for a whole variety of factual and legal reasons. But again, there is no adult in the room who would have said, are you kidding me? This person was apprehended steps from the courtroom, steps from the courthouse. It's going to be so hard to prove, even if you could somehow show this was the judge's intent was to obstruct. Why would you possibly do this? And the answer is because we want to send a signal to the judiciary. And that's what you shouldn't be doing. I mean, that is fighting the last branch of government to oppose the executive branch.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, I'm going to back into the latest reporting on this with sort of all of the context. I mean, this comes at a moment when Trump's approval rating is in free fall, and it is plunging around what he has done to his own pretty hot economy. He's tanked it with this obsession over tariffs. Whether it's causal or not, we'll never know. But he has also tanked his two political sort of shields have always been people thinking he was actually a businessman, even though that was a character he played on a reality show, and people liking his energy or aggressiveness around immigration. He's tanked his approval on both fronts. I think this was a distraction from the first weakness on the economy and a case that they wanted to be arguing in the press instead of that of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So I just want to lay down the foundation so we're not sort of covering the shiny object they wanted us to focus on today.
Yeah, and I think that's right. And I think that the PR operation around this is the real relevant element as far as the big picture is concerned, right? Obviously, we'll wait to see what the facts are on the specific case regarding this judge, but this was entirely motivated by PR. We can all sort of speculate on what their motives are. Was it a distraction? Maybe that's part of it. Was it trying to intimidate people and chill people that want to provide aid to undocumented migrants? I think certainly that has been part of their plan all along. Is it a shot across the bow of the judiciary? Probably. I think it could be all three of those things. But like that is what is motivating not just the arrest, but like the way that they handled it, and having the FBI director tweet about it, and Pam Bondi go on Fox, as Andrew mentioned. And so I think those are very it's obviously very serious to think about that, and I think the chilling effect, even if this case doesn't work, I think the chilling effect might work, because if you're somebody that, is in some way helping an undocumented worker, you might think, an undocumented immigrant, excuse me, you might think, is this worth it? Like, do I want to put out the risk that the FBI is going to come after me? I think they want people to be thinking about that and having those conversations. The only good news in this, the only silver lining, is what you alluded to, about how his numbers are tanking on immigration. And I think there's just been so much depressing out there about the state of the country and how we think about the country, that they elected this guy again. But to see people already starting to reject this immigration regime, I think is extremely encouraging, and hopefully it will be a continued reminder to Democrats and others that oppose this president to stiffen their spine to make these arguments, because some people were worried for months. So it's like, we got to let him do whatever noxious stuff he wants to do on immigration, because that's what the people voted for. Well, it turns out that there actually is a broad majority of Americans that are not for just nabbing people off the street and sending them to a gulag. I know maybe there was some doubt about that. Maybe some people in the Trump administration thought that would be a winner, but it's turning out that that's a loser. And a new poll that came out right before we got on from Siena showed that the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case, he is less popular. Like, that is people are less favorable to his treatment of Kilmar Abrego Garcia than they are to the tariffs or to or to his behavior with Russia and Ukraine. Right? Like, it is his lowest number, and so I think that is a really encouraging sign that people are going to need to continue to fight back against these efforts broadly.